All right, so we're getting our G minor Wes Montgomery licks. Now, the most important thing to realize when you try to play Wes Montgomery style is we're not going to use the pinky. You'll never really get the fluidity because you can play in position this way with your pinky a lot. You'll be really good playing. You get all the right notes, but it's not going to have is like what I call the bubble. Just, and that's just the fluidity. He's very, very slippy player. There's a lot of slides, and he's just moving around a lot. So no pinky. But the first place I teach you how to do some of this stuff is I teach you what not to do. What all the other people on YouTube are teaching you to play this chord, which I could call a B flat major 7. Mr. Sandman?
Yes.
Right? Or I could also think of this as a G minor 9 without a G note in it. There's a G note. So this is like a G minor 7th. There's the 9. This is a G minor triad, right? Just a D minor chord that's been moved up to G minor. This is G minor 7th. Now I take out that flat third, and I put the flat third in the bass. So this is B flat, D, F, and A. And in the big picture, this is a much more interesting chord than G minor because there is no root. Now the root's the most important note of a chord, or the most home base note of a chord, but it's always what you love the most that you take for granted. It's also the most useless note of a chord. So it's really not a G unless you hear the bass in context. So it'd be, to me that sounds more like B flat. Well, it sounds like G minor because we've been playing G minor for the past 2 hours. So it totally sounds like G minor to me. So a lot of people on YouTube will get you to do this. Start with the G, and then B flat, D, F, A, C. And what I'm doing is just building in thirds in this Dorian scale. If you don't understand that, don't worry about it. Root, flat third, 5th, flat 7, 9, 11. So as I get further and further away from the root, the more and the more interesting it is for my ears. Cool. Right? And you can learn how to sweep that. Remember, when you sweep, you sort of push into the next string. You don't try to go note, note, note. You try to go franc.
Right.
Just push into the next string like you're pushing right through in a punch, not a punch like that. So you get on YouTube and type in Wes Montgomery licks. I guarantee you someone's going to be showing you this lick. And Wes did those notes all the time. And I used to figure out solos with those fingerings, and it would just never be quite Wes-ish. Wes-ish. Well, then I hurt my pinky one of these days, and I could only play with 3 fingers anyhow. So, and I was going through a Wes phase at the time, and that's about the same time that everybody started putting his videos on YouTube. Because when I was growing up, I didn't know there were Wes Montgomery videos. I just heard the music. But then when I started seeing him on YouTube, not only did I see that he never used his pinky, and plus I'd been into older Charlie Christian and older guitarists who I knew didn't use their pinky. He'd use the pinky for the octaves and the chords and stuff. Like, he might play this chord. He does that all the time. But he doesn't do this. He doesn't arpeggiate that. And what's going to happen is you're going to have to play a little bit more like this. A little bit more up and down the neck rather than horizontal. And I'm going to teach you this lick. 1 and triplet, 3 and 4. G, A, slide to B flat, D, F, then slide up to A, which is the 9, back to F, and then slide that last note in. Right. So it's G, A, and then up a B flat triad, relative major, slide up to the A, and then, so we start with G and we end with G. 1 and triplet, 3, 4, and. I just added one more note there, right? This one goes to 11. You ever see Spinal Tap?
That one, a million times.
Of course you have. Right. So that goes to the 11th. That's 8th fret, but for 11th, for all you music geeks out there, the C note. But that's the main riff that I'm going to show you in all the licks. Now, you don't have to start on the root. You can start 1. 2 things that are hip about that. One is I'm not starting on the stupid beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, down. That's the worst note you can play rhythmically is the 1. A 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got the blues. I've got, right? Nothing sounds squarer than starting on the 1. And it's also the worst note that you can play melodically is the root. Is the most boring note, right? That's the bass player's job. That's why we pay them much, much less. So instead of starting on G, I'm going to start on A. And I'm just going to start with maybe an upstroke, like 1 and triple it, 3, 4, and. I could not even start in the A. I could start there, right? I could start wherever I want to.
Right.
But one of the first places to do is to take off the root. But I'm going to show you with the root because we're going to learn this structured and then we're going to make it hipper. I think we can understand how this is a G, 9, minor, 5th, flat 7. That makes it the 7th, 9. So it's a G minor 9 arpeggio. But I am playing the G if I want to. Now I'm going to do the same thing down here on G. I'm on my 3rd fret now. G, A, B flat, D, F. Now this, because of the tuning discrepancy, before my B flat was here, which was like a small chord. This is more like an open G chord. I call that the Girl Scout G. Or if we put it with the bar chord, I call it the Hanson G. Because when Girl Scouts grow up, they turn into a band like Hanson. But that's a different lesson. This you have to stretch. Unless I want to do that, that's pretty cool too. So this I have to kind of stretch. 1. Now you were doing this a lot today. 3. All right, that's cool. That's a lot of work, right? I use 2 there.
Right.
Okay. You always when you sweep, you have to use different fingers, or unless you're using a bar, right? Because you'll never be able to sweep that fast. Right. But learn how to play the notes, and then we can come back and figure out the best way to play them afterwards. So. Cool.
Just want to make sure it's going. Holy shit! I just got 11. I don't know when it just gave me. Oh.
So this is G minor. Okay, so now I'm going to start the G from here. And that's the original lick that I taught you. Now so far it's taken 3 strings to do this lick. When I start on the 2nd string, I only have 2 strings. I'm out of luck. So here I'm going to change my fingering slightly and go with more of a Django fingering, which is 1 and 2, because those are the only 2 fingers he had. 1, 2, slide, 1, 3. And I'll show you why. If I did 3, then I'm kind of bunched up, and how am I going to get to this? What am I going to do? Am I going to use my pinky? Or I have to jump there? So if I go 1, 2, 2, then my first finger just falls right there. My 3rd finger is ready to go, and then I just jack that all the way up to 17. Come back with 1, 2. Now the other 2 licks I always came back with 1, 1, so I could start the new lick, but I'm out of room now, so I can't do this nowhere. Right, so it's the same lick, 1 and 2. Nice. Then I think I changed it. If you look at the 2nd line on this Wes Montgomery Licks page, it's got 3, 5, 6, does now, 5, 4. I do a whammy note. And that's another great thing about Wes or George Benson or just jazz in general. They set you up to hear this, and all of a sudden you hear a whammy note. And that's, whoa, what's going on there? Because this is outside the scale. F sharp. But it works just because half step did it. Half steps are always cool. So, and this actually makes it a little easier. I don't have to stretch so far anyway now.
You're still doing the flat 3rd?
I'm still doing a flat 3rd, but a natural 7. So it's really a minor major 7 for us music dorks out there. But the reason why it works, same thing that "Won't do a party at the county jail." Elvis did it. We'll say that. So that's my G minor. Here, it actually makes it tougher to get that major 7. But it's up to you. And then here, I just go further up there. But that's all written out. If I would get the first line down,
Yeah.
and then we're going to talk about how you can do some variations. And the third line is just a whole thing about different springboards. The first thing I taught you was the lick that I taught you first in the first line is 3, 5, 6, 5, 3. Then I taught you, 3, 5, 6, 5, 3. Well, let's take off the root, because that's boring. That's the 3rd fret, by the way. So let's just start here. 1. Cool. How about if I start below the root and do an approach tone? Elvis did it. 1 and 2 and 3 and... Cool. Or how about if I start above and then below and then to the G? So scale from above, approach from above, chromatic from below, and then. So it's 1 and 2 and triplet. Cool. Or I could do scale. 3, 5, 6, and that's a slide because I'm not allowed to use my pinky. 1, 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that's a longer lick because I've added 2 notes. But we'll get back to that a little bit later as we progress into the West lick. Also, anything you can sweep up, you can sweep down. In fact, it kind of sounds cooler coming down. So this is, I still probably slide into that A note, the 9. Little B flat triad. I use 2 there and then 1. You could probably slide that. A lot of this is going to be personal choice, fingering issues. That was size. There you go. That's a pretty cool little lick. By the way, all these licks that we are doing, I learned that on the 6th, 4th, and 2nd. You should also learn it on the 5th string up here. So this is 5 on the 5th string, 10, half step. Now I'm on 1, and I'm going to change this a little bit. Instead of going 1, 3, I'm going to go 2, 2 on this as well. And then 1. So it's 15, 15, 13, 17. Hurts my brain to think that high. 15. So you should find a G on every string with your first finger. G. G on the 5th string. G on the 4th string. G on the 3rd string. G on the 2nd. Now that goes 2, by the way. That's the exception. And this is also 2. You're not going to do 1 with 1 string. I'm not going to be sweeping at all with 1 string, right? So those are all your G minors. By the way, we're going to talk about one more thing real quick, and I'll let you go. Here's G minor 9. Right? What makes that minor is the flat 3rd, and it makes it a 7th by having the flat 7 and 9. Well, if my flat 3rds became major 3rds and my flat 7s became major 7s, I would have a G major 7 arpeggio. Your local forecast. So I'm going to teach you between the G major 7 and G minor. Weekend Outlook. So G major, you're going to go 1, 3, slide. That's a major 3rd. The key is to come back with 2. Now that's a big boy stretch right there, right? One thing you do, I don't really stretch as much as I shift. That's a lot easier on your wrist. You know, I don't try to hold all these notes down. Screw that. So I might even shift a little bit more than try to stretch too much. But so 1, 3, slide, D, F sharp, and A. Now the things that don't change, like your root and 5th don't change. And your 9, the same. So 1, 9, 3, 2nd finger on the 5th, major 7, up to 3, maybe scoop into it, come back with 1 and end on root. Then I can do the lick here, G. here's G, 1, 3, slide. 1. There's my major 7. By the way, a little B minor there. Here's my G major. Remember how I did that with 2, and now I slide up a whole step. Cool. I could also do it on the 5th string, major 9, and 3rd string, major 9. Ooh, look, a B minor. Because on a G major 7, upper structure of that really is B minor. But now, so that was between G minor and G major. Those aren't in the same keys. I'm going to move this all into the key of G Dorian. And I'm going to use G minor 7, or G minor 9 arpeggio, B flat major 7, D minor 9, and F major 7. So I'm going to go G, B flat, D, F, which happened to root, flat 3rd, 5th, flat 7th of a G. So G minor 9, cool, B flat, starting on this major 9, and by major 9 I mean major 7 with a 9, D minor 7 with a 9, F major 7 with a 9, and then I'd be in nosebleed territory, but back to G minor. Cool. Then I'm going to do all that jazz on every single string that I can. B flat. Now here, obviously, I have to start on. I won't be able to start on G because that note doesn't go down to G. So I'll start on B flat, the 1st fret, major. Hey, look, I used pinky, didn't I? Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do. Doesn't really matter. Cool. D minor. F major. I didn't quite get that high enough. Sometimes you'll... So really make sure you get it that high enough. Okay. G minor. So B flat major, D minor, F major, and then end with G major. Here the lowest one I can start with would be F major, 1st fret. By the way, you're going to see major, and then you're going to see A minor because F major and A minor really are the same chord. A minor, F major 7. Sometimes you'll see me put pinky there. Sometimes I won't. Cool. G minor is the first lick I taught you today. Cool. B flat major. Once again, it starts out with major, and then you'll see D minor. D minor. You'll start with D minor, and then you'll see F major. Cool. Last string is I'm going to do the B flat here. B flat major, and now there's D minor. D minor 7, B flat. D minor 9, 2, 2. And you'll see D minor, and then you'll see a little piece of F major. That F bar chord with that note. F major 7, 9. There's an A minor. And then G minor 9, 2, 2. See, for this one, B flat major starts 1, 3, 3. But on the minor chords, 2, 2. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can do it with whatever. I strongly suggest these fingerings. I've not tried them a million different ways. I suggest doing it my way first and then mutating it to find your own way.
Absolutely.
Were there any other questions about any of these licks?
No, not really, no. I mean, but that's all this whole thing was Dorian.
Dorian. So all this stuff is being played over G minor. And the most common chord progressions in G minor are either Carlos Santana, G minor 7 to C9, what I call Santana to James Brown, Santana to James Brown, or like the moon dance thing. G minor 7, A minor, because A minor really is C, kind of. So it's less bluesy, it's a little bit more emotional. Using the more minor chords you use, more emotional. If your song ever goes G minor, C, and goes to F, you weren't in Dorian. You were just in the key of F, and you were playing 2, 5, 1. But that is the basis of all jazz. So even when we're not playing in Dorian, we're going to use these licks all the time. When we come up with 2, 5 licks.
What's the base? Oh, 2, 5, okay.
Right. 2, 5 to F major 7. G's, E, cheesy. Core, knee, corny. So like they used to do on the Electric Company. Right, but you're gonna see this, and we're gonna learn a couple Wes Montgomery solos. We're gonna see these licks come out note for note.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. That's a big